Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Breakfast with the Deacons on this beautiful Thursday morning. And let me tell you something. Last night I was dancing for the Lord at our prayer meeting because God is risen. He is truly risen. Hallelujah. And that should be how we greet people every day. This is the beautiful Easter season, and it's wonderful to have you on Breakfast with the Deacons. This morning, I have my brother Winston Garcia, the Episcopal Delegate for the Youth, and we're going to be talking about youth this morning. Now, it's not Tuesday, but we want to talk about youth this morning. We want to talk about mentoring youth and the challenges that our youth are experiencing. You know, right now, family life has been under attack, and therefore we have so many of our youth not being provided with the right guidance at home. We find our youth and they're angry, and we are seeing them acting out this anger in classrooms, and it has now gone on to the internet. We're seeing it on Facebook, we're seeing it on YouTube. The question is why? So we want to talk this morning about youth and what is the Catholic Church doing for youth? How can we truly reach out and go to the youth? Now, I know lots of people say, boy, Uncle Derek, I am afraid to talk to these youth. They might stone me, they might cuss me, and all these kind of things, on all these things. But I want to let you all know what Pope Francis says. And always with the Breakfast with the Deacons, we want to start with a quote from Pope Francis. And I think it challenges all of us who are afraid to go out. Here's what he says. It is true that going out onto the streets implies the risk of accidents and the risk of them happening as they would to any ordinary man or woman. But if the church stays wrapped up in itself, it will age. And if I had to choose between a wounded church that goes out to the streets and a sick, withdrawn church, I would definitely choose the first one. I think Pope Francis is telling us as a Catholic Church that our mission should be to go out onto the streets. Let us go out to meet our youth who are wounded and broken, our youth who are angry, our youth who are crying out, and that's what I am seeing. Youth crying out for something, someone. They're crying out for Jesus, actually. And we must be the Jesus that goes out to meet our youth, despite the accidents that might happen to us. The accidents of them challenging us to see if we really are serious. And that's what the youth will do. They will challenge us to see if we are authentic or if we just come for a little movie camera, Those people who like to just go to get a little in on the camera, to say that they're doing something, but that's all we see, that little 5-minute flash. They want to see if we are authentic, if we are here for the long haul. They say when your youth are growing up, we need to journey with them. They say what? Cows are 7 years, cows are about a couple months, and then they get on their feet. Elephants, I think, take about 3 years. But for young people, little puppies, you can get a little puppy grown up, in 5 months he's ready to go on his own. But human beings take a minimum of 21 years of mentoring. Are we here for the long haul? Are we here truly for the long haul? And that's what it takes. It takes for us from birth to 21 years and possibly longer before they can truly feel strong enough to go out on their own. These young children that we are seeing acting up on YouTube, acting up in our schools, acting up on the streets, they're 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 years old. They've missed that mentoring time. They've missed that father. They've missed that mother. Jesus and Pope Francis are calling us to go out on the streets to meet them. This morning, as we are about to start, I just want to talk about all those wonderful people who look on at Breakfast with the Deacons. You know, if I don't shout them out, we're in real trouble. So we want to start with Gwendolyn in West Moorings, Val Mohammed. Val, don't forget you're supposed to be on bringing some special people on Tuesday for me, and that is going to be exciting. Look on at Breakfast with Deacons on Tuesday. We want to talk about Cynthia Lauchitang, Charmaine Curtin, Father Bunty, Brian Phelps, Jose and Barbara Salazar, Heather Walcott, Norma Cantlebury, Lynette Ordain, Lisa from the Sanctuary, Diane Tyler Bless, Sandra Healy, Rosalind Grant, Susan Winters, Christine St. Louis, Monica Seeley from Monrepo, Beryl Pear, Robin and Charlene from Monrepo, Lisa Wickham and Gabby Branch. Who we have again? Elizabeth Salvador, Margarita Chapman from West Moorings. Auntie Margarita, that sweetbread is the bomb. Let me tell you all this, I have a weakness for sweetbread. Auntie Margarita gave me 2 sweetbread. You know what I mean? 2 sweetbread. And listen, Alison, I love you, darling. I don't know where you're getting that sweetbread from, but it's the bomb. Right, who we have again? Christine St. Louis, Monica Celia, told you earlier, Robert, yes, Bernadette Ross from Piddy Valley, Ruth Liverpool, Marina Butts all the way from Canada watching on, Veronica, Judy Ford from Tunapuna, Glenda Sobers, Patricia Joseph, Inez from San Fernando, Petra Francis Chang from Union Hall in San Fernando. The list gets longer. Anne-Marie Moore, Joan Clifford, Helen Khan, Villia from Lazy Ford, Alison and Roger from St. Joseph. What a lovely couple. Who we are again? Simon from Chagonas. Sayo, I missed you all yesterday with Mass with the Cardinal boy. Your partner really wanted to be there, but I had this funeral. You know, this young man who was shot for his gold chain. And, you know, they just asked me to do the funeral, and really and truly it's a parishioner. So, you know, I just want to just hail out that beautiful man who lost his life, leaving 4 children on the side. Again, young people crying out in anger. This man was shot for his gold chain. You have to praise and thank God for beautiful young people and the positive things they're doing, because there was this other young man there who helped him, put him in a car, drove him down to the hospital. And yesterday, Uncle Derek had to spend some time with him because he was in so much pain. I promised to go bless his home. You know, so look out for me. Kevin, I'm coming. Who again? We have Alison from New Grant, Telma from San Fernando, Yolanda Kazu, Henry Harper, St. Juliet Raja. You know, I didn't know you used to watch Breakfast with the Deacons, Sister Juliet. I want to get you on the show. We have to hear what the Catechetical Commission is doing in the Archdiocese of Port of Spain. So, Sister Juliet Raja, this is an open invitation to you. Louise Patterson, right? And, you know, many more. Welcome, my brother.
Many more. Last time I met a lady who says she really enjoys watching Breakfast with the Deacons.
Well, it's the #1 show, the #1 breakfast show in the whole of Trinidad and Tobago.
And the rest of the English-speaking Caribbean.
Parlez-vous français? We're going to hablo español and get the show out to the Spanish and the French-speaking people. You know, a little patois. And those who are watching on in St. Lucia, I know that people look on to Breakfast with the Deacons in St. Lucia. Yes, we're all in St. Lucia now. You know, so the community in St. Lucia who look on with the Breakfast with the Deacons, please don't forget, you can always text into us and tell us what you think about the show. 680-1043. Tell us, even if you have sweet bread for Uncle Derek, text it and tell me where I can come and get the sweet bread. Winnie, we're here to talk about youth. We're here to talk about, you know, the challenges that youth have. They're crying out. They're crying out, you know. They're crying out to say, listen, don't forget us. Come and meet us. Help us. We're in pain. What is the Youth Commission doing? What is the Catholic Church doing to reach out to youth?
Well, first of all, we need to understand what they're going through if you need to help them. If somebody is drowning, you need to know what's the situation. If somebody's calling for help, you need to find out what kind of help they need. Out of every 8 marriages, 4 end in divorce, and the other 4, if you ask partners, would you consider marrying the same person? 3 out of 4 will say no. So really, 1. These are statistics.
You saw it?
Right, I saw this.
She's a boss. Yeah?
She's a boss.
She's a boss.
1 out of 8.
Yes. Marriages. Couples.
Suggests, right, because of this study, tells us that, listen, the people who are happy with one another, they have a wonderful environment that will support and nurture young people, to bring up healthy, wholesome, well-balanced, well-adjusted young people. The 7 out of the 8, a lot of times, you don't find that happening. You find a lot.
So 4 out of the 8 end in divorce.
4 out of 8 and in divorce.
And if you look at the other...
And the other 3 out of the
other 4.
The other 4.
Right.
Just one.
1 out of the other 4.
Say, I sold out on this woman, I sold out on this man, thank God for this man. The other saying, but I ain't too sure about he, you know?
Wow.
Or I ain't too sure about she. Some of them sleeping in one room, the other one sleeping in the other room.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of tension inside of there.
Yeah.
And young people don't need tension.
Yeah.
They need attention.
Amen.
They need love and nurturing. They need structure. They need that kind of formation. Now, the psychologists say young people need 4 adolescents. They need 4 things. They have 4 tasks to perform, right? And the family is the place where these tasks should take place. The first task is, number 1, that they understand what their identity is. Who am I? Who am I? They're supposed to find out that I am loved. I am wanted. I am valuable in my family. They can't live without me. They love me. They can't wait to see me on an evening. I am a Singh or a Mirage or a Smith or whatever.
A Garcia.
A Garcia.
A Walcott.
Proud a Walcott.
Nice.
And I'm part of a unit called my family. Right? They must have that background to come out of. I want to be somebody. My father is somebody. My mother is somebody. I am somebody. I want to be the best that I can be. And those 2 people are coaching me to be the best I can be. I could sing, I could run, I could cook, I could do this, I can do that. I'm a young poet, I can paint, I can do this. I'm learning these things. This is who I am. I'm creative, right? In the absence of all of that, I'm angry. There's a void inside of me. Now that's the first task. There are 3 more tasks that they have to do. The first task is identity. You have to give them an identity. They have to get it from home. If they don't get it from home, they get it from media. And that's where the craziness starts. So that's the first thing. The second thing is vocation. What am I going to do with all these gifts and talents that God has blessed me with in this family? How the family is supposed to nurture vocation? Whether you're going to be a lawyer, a doctor, an agriculturalist, whatever. Your family nurtures, give you a sense of belonging, a sense of direction, that you're heading somewhere. In the absence of that, there is a void. There is emptiness. And that is causing the uneasiness. That's the second thing. So the first thing is identity. The second thing is vocation. And vocation is a big thing. In our time, when we say vocation, all we think about is priesthood.
That's right. But vocation could be marriage. Vocation could be, I'm going to be a cricketer.
Vocation is your call.
Your call. Where are your gifts?
That's right.
And where does God want you to use those gifts?
God calls you. There's a call on your life. Everybody came into the world with a mission. And we're supposed to discover that.
A God mission.
A God mission.
Amen.
And the family is the place where you discover that. People encourage you to do things, send you to learn this and to do that and to share this, give stories about what happened during the day and talk and share and so on.
You know, you talked about the 2 important things, right? That you're wanted and that your vocation. I just want to let the people know outside there, I'm reading a fantastic book, St. John Paul the Great. St. John Paul the Great. I can't put it down. By Jason Everett. St. John Paul the Great by Jason Everett. Listen, Uncle Derek cannot put this book down. And exactly what you're talking about there is, it talks about his life. His father, they were living in a 2-bedroom apartment on top of, the landlord were Jews, right? And they had a shop below. And they used to live on the 2nd floor, right? Just above. you know. And his father used to play football with him upstairs in the 2-bedroom apartment.
Hold on.
He used to kick ball with his father.
Let me tell you something. When you ask young men, what are the most precious memories you have in your childhood? 99% of them says, when my father took me fishing, when my father took me to my first football game, when my father took me to visit my other relatives, when my mother.
John Paul II remembers, and in this book, my father playing football with me in our bedroom, kicking a ball, tied up old cloth, and then they made a ball, and he used to kick it. And the people downstairs used to hear them, the Jewish landlords used to hear father and his 2 sons kicking football in a bedroom upstairs. Again, John Paul remembers his father being a prayerful man, always praying, always praying, always praying, always praying.
That is the foundation. No, here's what's happening now. A lot of young people don't have this. Let me just briefly give you the other two. The other two.
Hit us.
The other two is to establish your authority. They need to do that. They need to know at what age they could do what, when they're old enough to do what, right? So then, for instance, when you were 5 years old, going to big school for the first time, your mommy held your hands.
Yes.
And she says, okay, now it's safe for us to cross. Let us cross the road. Right. Now, when you're going to do CXC, if your mother is going with you and she holds your hand, she says, okay, let us cross the road. You'll say, mommy, I can do that for myself. Please, I can handle it, right? So incrementally, they begin to assume responsibility for things, right, in an age-appropriate way, all right? So this is supposed to happen, and we're supposed to guide them along that process. But you can do this now. You can do that now. You can handle that now. You're big enough to have a phone now. You can do that. You're responsible enough to do this now, to go here now with friends to do that. It's supposed to happen incrementally. That's a task that they have to perform. Family has to help them with that. That's number 3. So establish the authority. Number 4, they've got to define their sexuality. Now, this is a big problem. Girls, their sexuality is affirmed by their father.
No, wait, hold on. I thought it used to be affirmed by their mother.
No.
Girls' sexuality is affirmed by
their father.
Explain that.
The father gives her a sense of what it is to be a woman. That's where it's coming from. The mother is mirroring it. The father is cementing the realities, and he is affirming. He affirms that in his daughters.
Winston, I want you to say that again. I want you to say that loud, because you know we have a big challenge.
Of course.
We have a massive challenge where we are seeing a lot of teenage pregnancies. Girls that are 12 and 13 years old. They are not
getting the affirmation from their fathers.
Because where are the fathers?
Father's gone.
The father's gone.
But so who they get it from? Some little boy down the road, some little male down the road, because females don't get females pregnant.
Yes.
Some little male who is filling that void. Now, I want to hasten to make this point, just to show the kind of responsibility men have in the church. Now, if people are not finding family and responsible adult male figures to help them find themselves, if they're not finding it at home, they're going to find it in church. They're supposed to be wholesome people, big men who understand what's going on, who are surrogate fathers, and look out for all those young people to be what is our priest is called what?
Father.
That's one of the biggest differences in all the religions. Our pastors are called fathers. I think that is profound, because there is a crisis of fatherhood, but in every parish there is a father. And they're supposed to be big brothers and uncles everywhere to help you young people discover all these things, so that they wouldn't be so angry. Because when you all these 4 elements are missing in your life, your whole life is collapsing.
Hold on, Winston. You know, on Tuesday we interviewed a beautiful couple, Nigel and Heather, and they were talking about marriage encounter. And in this marriage encounter, they say they invite priests to come to these sessions, to come and do a marriage encounter weekend. And do you know it is precisely for that?
Absolutely.
So that they understand their vocation of fatherhood. Okay?
They are reflecting the fatherhood of God.
Amen.
Now, you ask, what is the church doing in Trinidad? Now, the last census we had here showed that 17% of Catholics are coming to church. All right? So the maths will tell you that 83% staying away for whatever reason. All right. Now, the responsibility of the church right now is to hold on to these 17 and to form these 17, give them a foundation so this 17 could begin to reach out to the other 83%. Now, the mistake we could make is if we start to deal with the 83% and don't pay attention to the 17, then we end up like the dog and the bone in the river. Right? You end up with nothing. You drop the bone, feeling there's a bigger bone down there, and you lose it. So right now, our thrust is to solidify our position with these 17% who come in.
Because they're hearing the word.
Because they're there. They're there. They need some kind of formation and direction, right? So the Youth Commission has branded its outreach Youth EFM. Youth on Encounter with Christ, Formation and Mission.
But we could use that for the whole church.
But absolutely, if you listen, if that is a capsule of all the Holy Father has been saying in the last couple.
Totally.
Encounter with Christ,
Totally.
Formation, Mission. All right. If people encounter the living Christ, look at the Bible. Anybody who encountered the real Jesus, they never continue living the way they were living before. So you find people now going to church, and just doing that, they're going to church, but they're not going to God because we have not learned and mastered the art of introducing them to the person of Jesus Christ. So he remains a historical figure. Young people want action. They want authenticity. Right? Youth is about heroism and idealism. They don't have time to beat around the bush. If you are talking about a Christ who is not real, or who is not getting involved in the mess of their situation and has the power to transform that, they're not going to take you on your Christ who is very anemic. They're looking for God who can help them. And that's where we come in. We've got to present a Christ.
You're smoking, Winston. You're smoking, Winston, because you know you're falling right into Pope John Paul's life. Pope John Paul's life. Do you know, even when he was a cardinal, I want to let you hear this. Even when JP2, Saint John Paul II, was a cardinal, they called him uncle. They didn't call him his eminence, you know. His students called him uncle.
Touch their lives.
And they wanted to be with him.
Right now, everybody, every man, every woman, every auntie, every big sister, we have a mandate, we have a job to begin to rescue young people one at a time. You see, working in a grab, getting them in a grab, we gotta talk to them one by one, wherever you find them. Good morning, son. How are you going? Let us talk about what's happening in your life. What are your struggles? What are your difficulties? What are you having problems with? What about life that you have difficulty understanding? Let's talk about life. What about your life? What's happening? Tell me, let's talk. I'm like a big brother. I went through hell and I learned a lot, and I'm willing to share what I've learned with you. We have to meet them on a one-on-one basis. That's the way we're gonna deal with this thing. You know. No program. The programs are there to give shape and structure. But that's what Jesus of Nazareth did. He had no big program, sent out no message on the internet saying we're having a meeting down the road for as many people as possible. He met and James and John, he looks into their eyes and he said, I want to talk to you. I want to make you fishers of men. We got to get back. That's why Pope John Paul II called for a new evangelization. That's what we were talking about. We passed that straight. We have not addressed that, right? And Pope Francis now is showing us how to do it man to man, woman to woman, youth to youth, one by one. That's how we did it. Impact them one by one. Every time you see a young person,
Yes.
you see James and John. You see yourself as Jesus bringing the message to Nathaniel, to Luke, to whoever. That's how we had to see the thing. So we don't see them with the pants drop down. We say, look at another one. No, it's another broken one who never had the formation that you had. Who it's a privilege for them to meet you, because if they meet you, they meet another Christ, somebody who has been christened. Somebody who has become like Christ because of the sacrament of baptism and confirmation. God load you up with all of these blessings, all these graces to do what? To impact the lives of people one at a time, to give them living bread, to give them the truth, to look into their eyes and tell them all is not. You know, young people are broken and fed up with the whole system, and they're rebelling against the system because they feel that there is something. The BBC had a study. They say pessimism is what is eating at the soul of young people. They believe that they don't have a future. They can't get a decent job. They will never have a decent home. They'll never be able to get up to the ladder of upward mobility. So they just resign themselves to just scrape and take what they can get from whoever they can get it from. Now, being a Christian, we've got to show them that upward mobility is not only about money,
Amen.
About material things. We've got to show the world that we are happy people. We may not have everything. You may not have brand new tires on your car or big system in your car, but you're a happy man. Calling people to know Jesus, who is the source of all happiness. That is our job. That is our work. And the Youth Commission is about that. We're building a foundation now where we could make sure and reach out to the 17%, put them on a strong footing, and then send them out to go and look for the 83%.
Jesus is telling us some very powerful messages here today in terms of what the Holy Fathers, what Jesus has been challenging all of us to do. One by one, one by one. But you know, the challenge for all of us is we're afraid. We are afraid to go and do that. My brother Winston talked just now about how about spending a little time, meeting that one person, not a big crowd, that one young man, that one young woman who is crying out and saying, hey, how are you? Sharing our life with them.
That's right.
You know, but we are afraid to share our lives with them, you know. Because when we share our lives with other people, we have to give our time. We have to give our time, and we're afraid to give that time because we feel that time is so precious. It's ours. We don't want to share it. You understand? Because it calls for commitment. It calls for us saying, hear what? I am going to put you first. I'm going to put you first. I'm going to give you my time and my best time. But we're running away from that. So when we see the messes of the world, take a look at the man in the mirror. Don't blame somebody else. We have to take on that challenge. And yes, accidents will happen according to according to Pope Francis, excuse me, I muddled up this morning. Pope Francis said, yes, there will be accidents, but a rather a wounded church than a stale church that is sick, right? Rather a wounded one that is alive. And Pope Benedict Emeritus says, I rather have a core of people, a remnant who are on fire for God, than a whole big bunch of numbers who are lukewarm. Jesus is calling us to be on fire. He's calling us also to be committed to his mission to bring about the kingdom here on earth. Breakfast with Deacons, the #1 breakfast show in the morning. You can't get any better than this. Text in and tell us what you thought about the show. This is Uncle Derek and Uncle Winston signing off this morning. Breakfast with Deacons, my brother. Again, a wonderful show. Thank you, my brother.
Amen.
Let's go and do God's will. Let us go and